Hey, it's Rich back with you for another video here in San Luis Obispo, California. And man, what a beautiful day and weather. And we're taking a Citation Mustang. We came up here for another video. We're taking a Mustang back to Long Beach. This video is just going to be kind of an overview of my experience with the Mustang. We've sold a lot of them, I've flown a lot of them, and we're just going to do a overview on the Citation Mustang.
Citation 220 Delta Kilo, San Luis Tower, runway 29, clear for takeoff. Wind is calm.
Clear for takeoff 29, 220 Delta Kilo. Takeoff power set, engine instruments are all green. Speed's alive, 70 knots, cross check. 1. Rotate. Rate. Laps. My power, yaw damper.
0 Delta Kilo, contact Santa Barbara departure. Good day.
Good day. Departure 220 Delta Kilos out of 1,000, climbing 4,000.
November 220 Delta Kilo, Santa Barbara departure, radar contact, on maintain 6,000.
6,000, 220 Delta Kilo. Okay, on our way up to flight level 230, this Citation Mustang. And I just wanted to give a broad overview on Mustangs. We do a lot with Mustangs, maintain them. We do type ratings in them. We sell them. We fly them. And I've been around Mustangs really since they first came out. I remember when they announced it at NBAA. Early 2000s. I don't remember the year off the top of my head. But really, a lot of orders. They took a lot of orders at that NBAA. I think it was in Orlando. And it was. The mock-up was, this preceded G1000. Mock-up kind of had a taste, or it gave you a vision of, what was coming, but we hadn't seen G1000 yet, so it was pretty cool event. And Mustang was really one of the, what was popular in those days was the call of the very light jets, VLJs. And of course, Embraer had the 100, the Eclipse. Piper was talking about a Piper jet, engine jet they were going to do. There was another company, Atom, I think, at the time. They were talking about, these clean sheet designs, and there was a crowded VLJ market, and, everybody was going to build VLJs, and there was this huge market for them, and there was a lot of hype. And Cessna, with their experience, took a more conservative approach to what the volume looked like. And of course, they had the experience with other Citations, so they were more measured in what they projected as being the total volume, and they ended up being correct, and all the other stuff was a lot of hype. And what worked out of that was really the Mustang and the Phenom 100 really became reality. The Eclipse became reality too, but it really struggled and never really caught stride, and they stopped producing them and never produced a fraction of what the promise was. And that airplane went through a lot of changes, and they're out there flying today, but there's uncertainty surrounding them in terms of support because the company never really made it. So the Mustang, Cessna ended up building about close to 500 of them, 479 maybe, through 2016. Didn't probably build a lot in 2016, but the reason. The Mustang was doing pretty well, but, they also brought the M2, or the 525 back as the M2, and then they basically said that's going to be our entry-level jet instead of the Mustang, and there was, common type rating with stretch version, so it made a lot of financial sense. And that all got decided after the downturn in 08, 09. But the fact that the Mustangs aren't in production, to me, is not an indication of lack of market acceptance. It's more a function of Cessna's decision that the M2, the 525, was going to be a more financially viable long-term product because of having the 2 and the 3 and the 4 as derivatives of it with the same type rating. And I think that was probably the right decision, you know. It doesn't take anything away with how great the Mustang is, in my opinion. Some people ask me, well, you know, is it not in production anymore? And to me, you can't, to reemphasize, you can't point to the lack of success of the Mustang as a reason it's not in production anymore. And so, but the airplanes really haven't changed too much. There's not any real modifications you can do to them except upgrading the avionics, and that gives a lot of improvements and more capability, updated radar, better XM, you know, talk and text options. You can put new interiors in them, you can put new paint in them, all that kind of stuff. But as far as performance and that type of thing, they're all essentially the same. Which
220 Delta Kilo contact, LA Center 126.5, see if that gets you higher.
2652 220 Delta Kilo. My opinion, you know, it's the best entry-level jet. That's not to say that the other entry-level jets, the Phenom 100, the M2, the Honda Jet, you know, aren't good airplanes. It's just, to me, if you're transitioning into your first jet, this is the best option. And for a lot of reasons. But insurance is one. Insurance companies and safety and slow flight handling characteristics, modern, you know, all the reasons. But the Mustang in and of itself, I think, really is a step above the rest of them in terms of your first, if you're transitioning into a first jet. And that's an opinion. There's all kinds of people who have opinions about it. And I'm partial to Mustangs. I've done a lot of training in them. We do a lot of maintenance on them, and I think it's just a really good experience for people transitioning to their first jet. Very capable, and you know, easy to fly, familiar avionics. It's really a
3440 contact Oakland
strong
34.55
player for your first jet.
I've
I've done a lot of videos in Mustangs, and I feel like I talk about performance every time, but just a quick review since we're talking about Mustangs. You know, at 41,000 feet, you got a 7,800 foot cabin, and you're burning about 70 to 80 gallons an hour of gas, and you're going to get 320 to 330 knots true airspeed, you know, depending on temperature, and pretty respectable. Market for these Mustangs has been solid, and like any market, there's ebbs and flows, but the general trajectory, like most airplanes, is continuing to gain or increase in price. And so I don't think we're going to ever see Mustang prices drop down lower than, generally speaking, where they are, which is in the, you know, 2 million. You can get a nice airplane, like this is a great airplane, a good example, you know, $2 million range. You can get a late serial number with low time and a bunch of upgrades, and you can pay $2.6 for it. And the Mustang values are probably capped to some degree by what M2s are selling for, the bottom of the M2 market. So, you know, the earliest M2 is a 13 or 14, the latest Mustang is a 16, so you get pretty close there. But overall great airplanes. And for me personally, you know, I've been flying a Mustang. I've been around them since the beginning. I got type rated, I think, in 2000. Man, I can't remember. 2010? 2009 or 10, I think. And really been flying them ever since, and started to do mentor and training in them maybe six years ago. And it's just been, I mean, it's just been a really positive airplane in my life I've touched a bunch of different ones, flown a lot of different serial numbers. Met some
transition 270
really great people training them in Mustangs. And one of the things I love about Mustangs the most is, you know, the overall package, but also I'm always looking at airplanes from the perspective of like resale value. And honestly, I can't think of a much better buy in terms of an airplane that you can buy, fly, gain experience, treat well, and then pass it on to somebody else. And you're, you know, in my experience, you're almost always going to get pretty close to what you...
Delta Kilo, descend via the Bob 2 arrival.
Descend via the Bob 2, 220 Delta Kilo.
Or 2 Delta Kilo, descend via the Bob 2 arrival, except maintain 16,000.
Descend via the Bob 2, except maintain 16,000. 220 Delta Kilo. So that's a, to me, is an important factor on airplanes. I like to see people use airplanes and not, you know, lose a bunch of money. And there's always times in the market like 2008-9 when we had that big dip. But if you could survive through that, you come out on the other end.
Vertical track.
Pretty good. That's really cool to me about Mustangs, is that they really hold their value well, and I think they're always going to be a popular, well-supported airplane. Garmin updates the avionics, you know, Cessna supports them well, there's good training, there's good maintenance, and so good parts availability, high pedigree avionics, engines, airframe, so, you know, those are all the reasons why these airplanes do so well. Alright, we got gear down, 3 green, flaps are in the landing position, good. Lights are all on, cabin is pressurized, 3 zeros in sight.
Minimum.
Frequency intrude.
Frequency approved, 600 by above.
Foxtrot, frequency intrude.
Frequency approved, 7 Foxtrot.
And Long Beach Tower, Gulfstream 280, Charlie, visual runway 30.
Gulfstream 280, Charlie, 11 Charlie, traffic, 11 o'clock, 4 miles eastbound, Cessna, and a Cherokee, 1000 VFR, runway 30, clear land.
Clear land, runway 30, Charlie.
Make Delta 4 here.
Cherokee 6 Street, 1 Hotel,
Rates are kind of touchy when you hammer them.
Here, it's 1 Hotel, turn request.
It's pretty good short field.
November 0 Delta Kilo, where do you park?
OCR 0 Delta Kilo.
0 Delta Kilo, Charlie, Delta 4, kind of ground.
Delta 4 to ground, Ryder. Yeah, that was a pretty immediate.
X-ray, you want us to extend the downwind past center line 30?
Extend downwind until advised, sir. There's traffic off your right, 3 miles.
Unicom 2. 220 Delta Kilo, Delta 4, OCR Aviation.
Number 0 Delta Kilo, Long Beach ground. Taxi via Julia 2 Delta 4, hold short, runway 26 left.
Julia 2 Delta 4, hold short of 26 left, 0 Delta Kilo. Okay, back on the ground in Long Beach. Quick overview on Citation Mustangs. Every time I fly one of these Mustangs, you know, it just reinforces what a great airplane it is. And if you're thinking about stepping up to a jet, as I mentioned, I can't think of, to me, it's a clear favorite. Unless you just really have the need for higher performance and emission. Okay, I'll grant you, then there may be a better path. But if you're upgrading from, you know, any of the higher performance single engine turboprops or pistons, even the twins, think hard about a Mustang. And we got a lot of experience with them, maintaining them, training, operating them. Lots of customers, so give us a call and check us out on the website. Thanks for watching.